It is a huge, huge honor to be interviewing Chris Kammer today, right? Kammer, that's how you say it.
Yeah, let's go with that. No, that's correct.
And I was in love with your father probably a decade before I met you. I think your father, seriously, was one of the most amazing men in dentistry. He founded, didn't he? Didn't he found like 5 different dental groups and
Yeah, he
associations?
founded the American Academy of Dental Group Practice. He founded the American Academy of Cosmetic Dentistry. And that's enough, I guess.
Yeah, I mean that's just amazing. So was that hard growing up under the shadow? I mean, you are a young boy trying to find your own way and be a dentist, and your dad's like this amazing dentist.
Yeah, no, I always admired him and always respected what he did. And, frankly, I wouldn't have gone into dentistry if I wouldn't have appreciated what he'd been doing in his field and how he lived his life. And I'm glad I did.
And I'm sorry he didn't live long enough to see the day. Now they have their first woman president of the American Academy of Cosmetic Dentistry, my friend Joyce Bassett, who lives in the same town I do, up the north of me.
Oh, yes, absolutely. I know Joyce. I know a lot of those people from the early years. He kind of dragged me along for the founding meeting. He said, hey, we're going to Vegas. I'm going to start an academy. And so I kind of went along for the ride.
What year was that?
Wow, was it 30? Well, let me think. How old are they? Are they 30 years old?
Are they 30?
Yeah, wow. Well, it was when it started. They just celebrated a milestone last year, I think. So I think it's been 30 years, yeah.
And on the other one, the American Academy of Group Dental Practice, that's still in existence too.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Yeah, and who would have guessed when he started that someday group practice would have turned into corporate dentistry of groups of sizes. I wonder if he ever even imagined that far. I mean, he's quite a visionary.
I think he did imagine it because, quite frankly, that's where dentistry was going. He was always way ahead of the curve, and he decided to get out of it when it became very somewhat corporate, and he decided he preferred to practice on his own. And that was when he decided to move in the direction of cosmetic dentistry, change the name of our practice to Center for Cosmetic Dentistry, and never look back.
And you started really your own. You started the American Academy for Oral Systemic Health.
Yes, I did.
And that's going to be bigger than the that's going to be bigger and more important than the AACD and group practice, because that is, if I can think of anything that's changed the biggest and the most in the 20 years I've been a dentist from 87 to 2015, it's the fact that dentistry, when I got to school, I mean, dentists weren't even doctors. They weren't even considered part of the human body. I mean, we were like this detached iPhone in your pocket. I mean, people could pull out their wallet, their car keys, and their mouth. And I still think it's quite insane. You've done a lot of stuff for the troops. With the Halloween candy buyback, that's for the troops.
Yes, correct. Absolutely.
And those poor boys come home and they're all in the age, they only have 2 diseases, wisdom teeth and dental decay, and their insurance doesn't cover mental health or dental disease. And it's like, how can those guys sit there in Congress and see all those boys that served coming back with post-traumatic stress and all this stuff and not cover the psychiatrist, and at their age with wisdom teeth coming in and cavities around the mouth, not covering their dental. That's just crazy. And that's part of that whole mentality that the brain, that how can health insurance not cover the brain and the teeth?
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that.
And you're on the forefront of changing that. And I applaud you for that.
Well, thank you, Howard. It always seemed odd to me that at some point somebody said, okay, well, here's what we're going to do. We're going to have everybody who wants to take care of the mouth go move in that direction, and the rest of the body, they'll all go that way. And it's like, who separated the mouth from the body? What we're trying to do is put the mouth back into the body and work together with the medical community, because really the mouth is absolutely the first place to start with health. And it's the only place that's connected to all the serious diseases that are killing people every day. So if you've got if your mouth health is poor, if you've got periodontal disease or bacteria or any of the bugs that originate in the mouth, you're going to be more at risk for heart disease, stroke, diabetes, pancreatic cancer, Alzheimer's, arthritis. I mean, it just touches so many things. So it's just mind-blowing to me that the medical community and the dental community aren't working in sync with one another. But that's one of the missions of the American Academy for Oral Systemic Health, is that to bring that all together and work together and for the best interest and for the best health of the patients that we serve.
Well, it's funny. I've spent a lot of time looking into that, and it turns out that, the architectural engineers and architects say that your physical environment really affects your mental health and all this. And I've long been clamoring that if you're going to spend, basically a third of your waking life in a dental office, why is your dental office 1,000 square feet? And then your home for relaxation is 3,000 to 5,000 square feet. Why don't you just make your dental office a little bigger? And it was actually back in Baltimore where the dentist needed an upright chair and the physicians needed a lay down bed. And from that architectural constraint, they separated them. It came down to an architect and a building design, and we needed to sit up, and we standed up with our patients sitting upright, and they wanted lay down beds, and that was just a weird fork in the road.
We got to move away from that because the health of the mouth is impacting overall body health, and the studies show that you're more at risk for all those serious diseases, and a lot of people don't take it all that seriously. I think the thing that kind of moved me in that direction, Howard, was that at one point I started getting really, really interested. While we were doing cosmetic dentistry, one of the things that I noticed, maybe mine was the only practice, but occasionally there'd be a lot of people with bleeding gums. You know what I'm saying? In other words, that's the one disease that never seemed to get under control, and nobody ever seemed to care much about getting under control, or they thought it wasn't possible, like they'd given up. And I got all focused on trying to do everything possible to get periodontal disease under control, because it just seemed to be the most out of control, undiagnosed and untreated disease of all. And that bears out to be true, because all the major organizations would say that 70 to 80% of the population's got gum disease. I mean, the ADA, the AGD, the Surgeon General. I mean, so we know there's that much gum disease out there. And then when you look at the insurance statistics, dental practices are acting like everybody's healthy because everybody gets a prophy, which by definition is to be done on healthy mouths to prevent disease. But every dental practice that you ask will say, even that out of the prophies that come in, about 80% of those people are bleeding, which coincides with the 80% that all those organizations say have gum disease, and nobody's doing anything about it. So it's kind of a supervised neglect thing where they still keep doing the prophies on the bleeding gum patients, not doing anything to get that gum disease under control. And when gum disease has life and death ramifications, it's time to put up the red flag or something, and we need a 5-alarm fire. This is just, it's insane. So I don't understand why even dentistry even organized dentistry isn't reading our profession, the Riot Act, about, hey, we got to help people live longer. We've got to get gum disease under control. There's more that we can do. I think that they know that nothing's being done because they know the stats. If I was 60 Minutes, if I wanted to bust the profession of dentistry, I'd get all the major organizations that say, okay, there's all this gum disease. Roughly 80% of all the people have gum disease, right? And then I'd say, but dentists, you're looking to us like you're not treating it because the insurance statistics say that you're treating 90% or more of the people as if they don't have gum disease. Those are completely opposite. So I don't get it.
Well, it's interesting because the gum tissue is about the surface area of the palm. And anybody would know that if their palm was raw and bleeding and oozing blood and bloody, that'd be a source of infection. And then when you try to explain that this could be an oral systemic issue, I find it ironic that when I think one of the most progressive people on is the American Academy of Periodontists. I mean, they're always having great social media things about this and that. And their biggest detractors are dentists. It's the same thing with different states. I can't give a flu shot, but a tech at Walgreens, it's not even a pharmacist, can give a flu shot. And then when you go to the state board and try to get dentists to have a permission to give a flu shot, since we see the elderly people so often.
Yeah.
And we could be saying to grandma and grandpa, hey, did you get your flu shot? And who stands there? Our own dentist. It's like, oh, thanks, pal. Thanks. Yeah, thanks for that. And, so dentists are the ones at the state board level making us molar mechanics when they don't let us give a flu vaccine. HPV for oral cancer. I can't even give an HPV vaccine, but they can die. They can die from oral cancer.
Yeah. That doesn't make any sense
And
either.
the bodies are starting to stack up. And now it's amazing how many dentists sit there and say, yeah, I know. And then I'm sitting there thinking, okay, that girl was in your office every 6 months for a cleaning for 10 years, and you never suggested to mom that she had an HPV vaccine, and you didn't offer. You didn't say, hey, it's a $10 copayment. We'll vaccinate you right now. And then if you did, and look at Delta Dental, they don't even cover an oral cancer screening. Could you imagine if health insurance didn't cover a woman's cancer screening downstairs? I mean, could you imagine? They'd be outraged. The CEO would probably have to resign. But in dentistry, it's like, well, that's about right.
Yeah. Well, I know. And as you move down this road where you're offering people more screening and more diagnosis and more therapy that insurance doesn't cover, that's always a big challenge. But people have a right to know. They have a right to have it offered to them. And if they say yes or no, that's their deal. But we do a lot of scaling and root planing on patients that would not be considered candidates by insurance companies, because I think insurance companies say, well, you've got to have X number of 5 millimeter pockets and this and that and the other thing. But look, if they've got bleeding and they've got bacteria, that's infection, and that's reason to disrupt that biofilm going below the gum line. And by the definition of even scaling, you've got to scale and root plane those patients, even if they don't have what the stereotypical thought of someone is that needs scaling and root planing, like massive amounts of tartar. A lot of this is microscopic. You can't even see it. But you've got to go in there and disrupt that biofilm to get rid of that disease, to get that gum disease under control, and to get that microbiological level, those pathogens, down to a level where the body can tolerate them. And that's another thing that dentists aren't even doing. I mean, this is growing now, but the other side of periodontal disease that the dentist can't see with the naked eye, Howard, of course, is what are the level of pathogens in the saliva? How many of those bad bugs are having a party in your mouth, and how serious are they? And so that's the side, and that's the side of periodontal disease that not most people are not looking at, especially periodontists, Howard.
And the evidence-based dental movement is not very humble in the fact that they discover a new species of bacteria in the mouth every quarter. So every year they find 4 new bugs, and people have to realize that 1,000 years from now, we're going to look pretty silly. I mean, look at my life experience. When I went to Creighton from 80 to 83, they taught me that an atom was 99.9999% empty space. And all the mass was in the atom, and in the nucleus and the electron. And now it's like, oh, wait a minute, excuse me. Now we say that dark matter and dark energy contain 95% of the mass of the universe. You can't see it. And that electron is flying around in basically this massively dense thing. I mean, so who knows what they're going to know 1,000 years from now? But today you have to be humble and say, okay, we don't know everything, but we know one thing. This is a problem. So I want to ask this: when you talked about a stereotypical dentist, we have a natural selection. I mean, we only get picked because we ace calculus, physics, chemistry, and biology.
Yeah.
We don't get picked. And you are probably if someone said to me, and I kid you not. If someone said to me, who is the least stereotypical dentist that you know? Dude, it's you. You're tall, dark, and handsome. You're a dancer. You're a musician. You're a singer. You're an artist. You started out as the advertising dentist. So that dentist listening to you who knows your story, which has been an incredible journey, they're saying, yeah, Chris, come on. You could sell snow to an Eskimo. How does a introvert, scientist, engineer, geek dentist explain perio? Because if their insurance only pays for a cleaning, and then you say they need a deep cleaning, a special cleaning, and they have to pay out of pocket, they just pick up their purse and walk out the door. I imagine you can sell. You could probably sell any damn thing you want to be. What tips could you give my thousands of introvert listeners on their way to work about how to get more? You're never, and advertising, externally is what the advertising that was, but advertising internally is selling to the patient. They don't even like that word.
Yeah. Well, this is all about advertising internally, because I've tried to advertise externally to save people's lives with periodontal therapy. That bombed like a lead balloon. That's not one of those things that people automatically want. It's not like a life-enhancing, in their mind, smile enhancement, sexy kind of a thing. So it was a waste of time. But I once offered people $50 cash if they could come into my office and have healthy gums. If they didn't have gum disease, I'm going to give you $50 cash. I gave it out to one person. Okay, so, but I still didn't feel that was when I used to have an ad on the radio that played saying, that gum disease could lead to your early death. I had people calling up and complaining that was just, that's too much hype and you're just trying to scare people, and then they hang up. And so I've kind of been through all of that. But what I found that works the best, Howard, is first of all, you have to get the team to care. The team has to believe. I have a team speech I would be happy to send anybody that's interested in this, because you have to get the team on fire, and they have to fully believe that you're not just all of a sudden doing more periodontal therapy because you're looking to make some more money from the hygiene department. You're doing more periodontal therapy because indeed gum disease, periodontal disease, is the most undiagnosed and untreated disease on the planet, and that it's even in the Guinness Book of World Records. It's the most common form of inflammation in the entire body. So you got to go after it. So I think once the team is on fire for it, then it's a matter of making people own their disease. And one of the challenges is you've got to turn bloody prophies, right? You've been doing every 6 months, seeing them, and you've been doing a bloody prophy on 80% of your patients, and now you got to turn it into periodontal therapy, which might be 4 quadrants of scaling and root planing and sending them home with all kinds of home care products and following up with them every single month to get that bleeding under control. I just try to help them own it. Show them the bleeding. We do a lot of saliva tests. Show them the out-of-control bacteria levels. Let them know that you're passionate about it. Here's the one thing that I think would help. If you bring the passion, you bring the statistics, and you bring the information to them. Good news is nowadays a lot of people have heard that the mouth health affects the body health. And I sometimes will go even beyond the mouth health, saying that, well, Mr. Jones, now, did anyone in your family have, heart attack, a stroke, high blood pressure, diabetes? And if they had that, and then they have the gum disease as well, I say, well, okay, I'm going to recommend a couple of tests that I want you to get at your doctor, or we can take them here as well. Because gum disease is a very common inflammation. It's a stress on the body. It wears and tears on your circulatory system, and it could take years off your life. And if you've also got a relative that's had some sort of systemic illness, you're even more at risk. So I kind of lay it out to them so that they can make a decision, because insurance may not pay for what we're recommending. And so it kind of, they ultimately they're going to make the decision. I've also learned that I don't get broken down and sad if they don't take it the first time. But the message never changes, and I'll still love my patients, and I'll still do that prophy, but I might have them sign a release that we've made a recommendation for the therapy to get their gum disease under control. They've chosen not to do it, and we'll still polish their disease if they want us to.
I've seen a lot of things change in my half century on this planet. One of them I've been griping about forever finally changed. I always thought it was a racket that I couldn't go to a place and order my own blood test. But you had to go through the healthcare doctors, racket, kickback system. And now you can walk into any blood place in Phoenix, Arizona, and order your own test. And I think that's a first step of breaking down their racket. But what saliva test do you take in your office? How does that work?
Yeah, we do the oral DNA test, which tests for the top 11 pathogens known to be harmful in gum disease. So that's basically a 30-second swish and spit into a little vial. Pop it in the mail, and a week later you get a profile. I think I've got one here. These are all you get a color profile which shows you the pathogens. So I'm just going to fold.
What's the website on that? www. What?
It's what is the website of this? I'll tell you in a second here. Well, you can look it up. It's Oral DNA. Oral DNA.
Are you familiar with the company or the founder or any of that stuff?
I'm not familiar with the founder. Tom Neighbors was involved, who is a dentist, and he was a researcher about all the science behind this. So he was very, very involved, and I think he sold the company. But it was originally, I don't know if it was founded by a dentist, but it was driven by a dentist, and Tom Neighbors would know more about that. But he's been a huge friend of AOSH, the American Academy for Oral Systemic Health, and he was so instrumental in teaching us this science behind the saliva diagnostics.
Can you send him an email and tell him I want to podcast him on this?
Absolutely.
Right on.
I will do that. Yeah, no, he's a genius, and he's been such a friend to our organization. He's the one that hooked us up with Bale and Doneen. Bale and Doneen are the heart attack stroke risk reduction specialists. Their recent book is called Beating the Heart Attack Gene. And they're the ones that actually made my light go on for the first time, where I really learned the oral systemic connection from one of the tests that they do, which is called the plaque test, the PLAC test, which basically is a test to check an enzyme in your blood that if it's at a high level, you're about ready to have a blowout. And a blowout means that the plaque that is lining your artery, or the plaque that's lining the arteries of your heart, that is just about ready to poke through that little layer of that's about 1 cell layer thick into your vessel, into your artery, causing a clot, thrombus, blockage, or a stroke if it's in your carotid artery. If that enzyme level is high, that tells you you're really at risk. You're at strong risk for an event. One of the amazing things they found out is that getting gum disease under control was one of the very, very few things that actually could bring that plaque score, that enzyme score down, and it didn't go down with anything with cholesterol reduction or smoking cessation, or periodontal disease was one of the only things. So
you can actually buy a kit from Volkswagen to make that test level go down.
Really?
Get it? They just got busted for their cheating on their emissions test. Bada bing, bada bing, bada bing. But so how much does this saliva test cost? And do you have them swish in it? It's a solution. They swish, spit it back in, and then you send it back to.
Yep, it's a 30-second swish and spit test. It's a $117 test to the office. In our office, we mark that up just a couple, few bucks. It's $137 in the office. There is some handling of that. There is some follow-up that's required, but it's a great test, and we show our patients what kind of bacteria is living in their mouth. Here's the interesting thing too: if they have high levels of bacteria and some of the dangerous levels of bacteria, like what they do is they'll show you how much bacteria you have in your mouth, and they'll show you a threshold line above which is considered that's where the tissue damage occurs. So I'm going to just fold this one over. But this is what one of those looks like. I don't know if you can see this or not.
Yes, absolutely. Very nice.
Okay, make sure I don't have a name showing there. Okay, so that horizontal bar you see there above all those columns,
it does say your name on it. It says Chris Kammer, and it says something about chlamydia.
No. Howard, you're cracking me up. Okay, let's go. We'll start the jokes real soon, because I did stand-up comedy. I don't know if you know.
I know, of course I know that. You're on YouTube videos doing that.
That's right. I'm fearless. Okay, but anyway, so here are the levels of bacteria. Now, this was a dentist, by the way. Okay, and what dentists don't know is they have high levels of this bacteria. Now, this one has a high level of P. gingivalis. Okay, I'm pointing to it right there, I think. And this is over the threshold line. Did you know that a high level of P. gingivalis puts you at a 13 times higher risk for a heart attack?
Wow.
That's a study. That's a study that we share. We share that in AOSH. I share it with my Gums of Steel clients. I mean, this is serious stuff, and you want to let your patients know that, especially if they've had someone else in their family that has had issues with heart attack, stroke, cholesterol, blood pressure, whatever. So once you see those high levels, now here's the other thing that's interesting, because this bacteria is transmissible, husbands and wives have very similar profiles.
I know, and you're talking right now. I think the last podcast we did had 7,000 listeners just on iTunes, and you're talking to dentists who will see the mom every 3 months for 10 years for gum disease, and they've never even seen their husband. And you're like, dude, if you were treating her for gonorrhea every 3 months after 10 years, wouldn't you say, hey, we think you're banging someone with gonorrhea? Who are you sleeping with? I mean, do you think it'd cross their mind once? And then you say that to them, and they look at you like a deer staring in headlights. We have a planet that all understands that you can pass a bacteria or virus below the belt, and it's never crossed their mind that they can do it above the belt as they're sitting there kissing their newborn babies on the mouth.
Right. So if you're kissing your baby or your spouse, and you've got this load of bacteria in your mouth, you're transmitting. That's transmissible. That's going right into your spouse or your loved one or whoever you're smooching on. Now, even if you were dating, wouldn't you want to say, okay, show me your oral DNA report, because I'd rather be kissing somebody like this.
Right. That's mine, by the way, if you're looking at it.
With no levels, that is Howard's, by the way.
That is mine.
Doesn't mean I want to kiss you, Howard. No offense.
Oh, come on, Chris. It's legal now. All the anti said once it was legal that straight people would start doing it. But yeah, I mean, it's just crazy times we live in. I mean, it's just crazy that you still see. I got a 3-year-old granddaughter, and it blows me away how complete strangers or people that know. Oh yeah. That I just saw them in my office 3 days ago, and that they want to kiss little Taylor on the mouth, and you're just like, wow.
Or they still clean off the pacifier by licking it off and sticking it back in there.
Yeah.
No, and Howard, this area of dentistry, you alluded to it earlier, but cosmetic dentistry took off. It was huge. It was a giant wave that swept over dentistry, and it was wonderful. People came back to the dentist for something they really, really wanted, and that was wonderful. And then the economy changed, and it sort of tapered off, and now it's still there, but it sort of ebbs and flows. This area of dentistry is only going to get more and more important, more and more concrete. It's not going to go away. And you remember when there must have been some point in your life, Howard, where somebody said to you, oh, you're just a dentist. Because there were doctors, and then there was the lowly dentist, right? But as time goes by, this lowly dentist is becoming more and more of a mouth doctor, and more important in the ability to reduce people's risk for systemic disease that this doctor's supposed to be doing, but they can't do it without the help of a dentist. We're finally getting to the point where we're like, okay, we're real doctors now, and we're even beyond, and some point they'll be going to the dentist first to get clearance there, and that's happening now. Get healthy here first and then get everything else together. But what blows my mind is that the medical community can't help. People entrust their lives to the medical community. They say, help me reduce my risk for heart attack, stroke, diabetes, cancer, blah, 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 whatever, all these things. And yet there's a major component that's in our arena. We got to start shouting that. We got to start talking about it. We got to start banging the drum, because that's real. That's not going to go away. And if we're not working together with the medical community, then the public that we serve is at risk.
Yeah, but you know what? And the Australians are learning something that I said 20 years ago there, and I've been saying it my whole career here, is that when you talk to Arizona senators, like you talk to Senator John McCain, and you go out on some Arizona Citizens for Better Dental Health charity thing, and he's there with his wife or whatever, they'll tell you that they get a lot of complaints that there must not be very many dentists because it's hard to get in, and they're not open evenings or weekends. And the Australian people complained about this forever, and the Australian government finally took action, and they let in 1,000 foreign dentists from Ireland and Europe and England and all these different places. And right now in Arizona, if you have a toothache on a Sunday, you're more likely to get gored to death by a unicorn or hit by a meteorite then find someone to help you. But if you broke your leg, your physician friends, they got hospitals 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And if it's Christmas or Hanukkah and you need a doctor, they're there waiting. But dentist is going to get zero sympathy from their legislators when their patients are saying, I broke my tooth on a Saturday night. I couldn't get in till Monday afternoon. I mean, Americans aren't going to wait 48 hours for a dentist to see it. But if you said something very profound that really like slapped me up the head that I never really put two and two together. You know, my two older sisters went into the Catholic nunnery straight out of high school. My favorite growing in Catholic school, my two favorite Catholics of all time was my favorite Catholic priest was Martin Luther, because he was a protester. He was a renegade guy like us.
He was a radical.
He was the first protester and started the Protestants and all that stuff. And he married a nun that was in my sister's nunnery, cloistered Carmelite monks. But anyway, Mother Teresa was my favorite female Catholic. And you said that you're not afraid of rejection. And I realized that Mother Teresa, my favorite poem, Mother Teresa anyway, really answers rejection. She says, people are often unreasonable, irrational, and self-centered. Forgive them anyway. If you're kind, people may accuse you of selfish, ulterior motives. Be kind anyway. Like your ad about, I'm going to save your life with gum disease. And if you are successful, you will win some unfaithful friends and some genuine enemies. Succeed anyway. If you're honest and sincere, people may deceive you. Be honest and sincere anyway. What you spend years creating, others could destroy overnight. Create anyway. If you find serenity and happiness, some may be jealous. Be happy anyway. The good you do today will often be forgotten. Do good anyway. Give the best you have, and it will never be enough. Give your best anyway. In the final analysis, it was never between you and God or you and your patients. It was never between you and them anyway. So that's a neat deal where maybe dentists will be able to handle rejection better if they just think of Mother Teresa sitting there, okay, you did your job. You explained all of this. They rejected you. People are batshit crazy.
Don't take it personally,
don't
right?
Take it
don't
personal.
take it personal.
My God. And you and I have done two of the most brutal art forms ever, which is stand-up comedy. The thing I love about stand-up comedy, I've done every comedy deal in Phoenix and Scottsdale and Mason, Tempe. And sometimes those comedians walk off stage and they just lose it. They bawl and they had a heckler or whatever. And you just have to go out there and you just have to realize, okay, so you get a heckler. Okay, so some guy didn't think you're funny.
Yeah.
Do your work anyway. It's brutal. It's brutal.
Well, in regards to rejection, if you really, really enjoy being alive, like one of the questions I like to ask people sometimes is a question that no one ever asks them. But is why do you want to keep on living? Why? What are you doing that makes you want to get up every day and keep on living? And some people might say, well, I want to make sure my kids are okay, and I want to, but it is fun to bring joy to the world, to bring health to the world, to make the world a better place. I know that's something that you've always encouraged dentists to do. You always said, like, hey, you might want to complain about the ADA, but go in there and make it better. So I like the thing that Deepak Chopra said, where he said, when you stand on the edge of the cliff, taking a chance, whether it's you're trying to educate someone to proceed with their periodontal therapy or whatever, or you're going to go do a stand-up comedy routine, or you're just going to go be the first one to dance at the dance because everyone will be looking at you, but oh my gosh, I hope I don't look stupid. When you take that chance, you stand at the precipice of all possibilities, which is really, really exciting because you never know what cool thing can happen when you take that chance. And a lot of dentists always kind of wondered, like, Kammer, why did you go on American Idol? You're a nutbag. It's like they said, you look so ridiculous. You demeaned the profession. Now, Howard, some people said this. You demeaned the profession by going on American Idol. And for all the cool things that happen for going on American Idol, I would recommend it to everybody. And I have no fear. I will gladly. I always want the people that really want to, challenge me to come. Let's talk about it, because it's like sometimes you have to get the dental message out there. You have to go through that door that says entertainment, and that can get the message to somebody. I've never been afraid. I think maybe I'm going to do it for you right now, Howard. I'm thinking that my audition for American Idol. Are you ready for that?
Hell yeah.
All right, because honestly, I went on American Idol with a mission.
Explain what American Idol is for our international viewers. This is
Okay.
downloaded in 206 countries. So someone
Okay. Wow. All right. So American Idol is like what's that other show that's on that Simon Cowell did, but it didn't take off. Something about anyway. It's a program. It's a reality television program where they're trying to find the best singer in the country. Who's going to be the next American Idol? Who's going to be the next superstar singing talent? Now, it's been on for 15, I think this could be the 14th or 15th year. It might be the final year of it, but it was the #1 show in America for many, many years. So everybody knew American Idol, and everybody tried out for American Idol. They'd go to a big city, and 10,000 people would show up to audition for their chance to be the next American Idol or to get on television and maybe have their audition show on television or whatever. So I always thought it'd be fun to do that. And actually, my kids all wanted to audition as well. But by the time the day came to go audition, they backed out on me. And I just said, you know what? I got all worked up and ready to do this. So they said, no, I'm going anyway. Now, if I'm going to go and I'm going to, go to American Idol, I really thought I should bring the oral systemic message. So the audition that I did was kind of like this. I got up there with a big giant toothbrush and a silver jacket and pants, and I said, you better get out the brush, everybody, it's time to brush because you're about to lose your teeth up in here. Started out with gum disease. Up in here, drops a body to its knees. Up in here. So we gotta get you a toothbrush. Rays of sunshine will appear and chase the dark clouds away. We gotta get you a toothbrush. The joy will astound you. This new world has found you now. Friends of mine, hey, the time is now to break those shackles that hold you down. Join me now as we reach up high, touch the sky. That's right, Howard, I can't lie. We feel the power growing in our soul. New energy is gonna take control because we gotta get you a toothbrush. Rays of sunshine will appear and chase the dark clouds away. We gotta get you a toothbrush. And now that I've helped you, help someone else too. Good night. So now, Howard, I might have been the first person to write the first love song for the toothbrush.
Yeah.
Possibly. I don't know, but I'm thinking maybe. So anyway, I knew I was going to be a novelty candidate on
And that
American
toothbrush
Idol.
was, I was born and raised in Kansas where the toothbrush was invented because it had been anywhere but Kansas, it had been a teeth brush.
Rim shot, boom. Okay.
Boom.
I want to open for you, Howard.
Well,
But
you know, it's so interesting. You're so passionate. You're so awesome that when you go on American Idol, you're trying to bring your dental message. That's so much passion. And people have asked me, what did you like about stand-up? Well, I just like stand-up, but I figure, they get to listen to a dentist, and when they get done listening to my routine, they learn more about oral health. I mean, if I go out there and do 40 jokes, 20 of them are dental related. In fact, the #1 question I get when I walk off that stage is, are you really a dentist? And I hand out my cards and I get patients from it. I mean, I do this one, the closest bar to my house, Cactus Jack's. I mean, I have almost all their staff as my patients because every time I perform there, and no one believes people like you and me are dentists.
That's true. Especially when you're out, rocking and rolling and emceeing the rock concerts and doing the things that people just don't expect you to be doing.
I want to tie you down a little more specifics. When you're doing this saliva test, where you buy this for $117, they swish for 30 seconds, you mail it out. Is this more of an internal marketing where you already know what they need? Is this used primarily to increase treatment plan acceptance so they can see a third person endorsement that makes them own this disease so that they understand it?
It's absolutely that. So for those that are a little bit hesitant to go ahead with the therapy, and so it's definitely a little bit that. It's also, if they have other health issues, I want to make sure they don't have a high level of of Agritobacter actinomycetum comatans, which is the worst oral pathogen you could have in your mouth. That pathogen acts like in the bloodstream. It goes up to the fat cells running through your bloodstream, and it says, "Come here, fat cell, hold my hand. Nice to meet you. Come with me. We're going to go into the lining of the artery." It actually helps fat cells go into the lining of the artery where they collect and start bulging out that artery where someday it breaks through. So I want to show
Chris,
people.
I have to interrupt you. I got to get a hug from my oldest son. Eric, you're the first time one of my sons been on the podcast. Say hi.
How's it going?
Hey, hello there, son.
That's my oldest. Hey, Eric, good to see you, buddy.
Definitely got nice teeth, Howard.
He does. He has nice. I got the only 4 good moves I ever made was Eric, Greg, Ryan, and Zach. I mean, they are just all 4 amazing, and I'm so lucky that we all live in the same zip code, Ahwatukee. So you're saying does this change your diagnosis though? Is it more changing your diagnosis, or the patient own it, or a combination?
It would change the. First of all, I've got more of a definitive endpoint for gum disease. Like if someone says, "I want to make sure my gum disease is under control," that's the thing. You just can't. Sure, you could scale and root plane and use your ultrasonics and laser and maybe get rid of 99% of the bacteria, but some of those bacteria resist our best efforts. So I don't care. I need to know whether I need to put them on an antibiotic or not, because a lot of those really bad bacteria, those bad mother. You remember that song Shaft? Shaft, you are bad. Hey, Shaft. That Shaft is a bad mother. Shut your mouth, right? Yeah. Well, these are bad mother bacteria, and they're so bad that they can resist your best effort. So whether they're getting the scaling and root planing, all the therapy, and the patient's home care is awesome, you may need extra efforts. You may need antibiotic regimen to knock it out.
Like now, what antibiotic?
Well, it might be metronidazole. It might be metronidazole combined with amoxicillin. It might be clarithromycin. It might be clindamycin. But see, here's the thing, Howard. Everybody in dentistry is shooting blind because they're going to say, well, I think you got a gum infection. We're just going to put you on amoxicillin and then cross our fingers that does it. But now you can customize it. When you've got the ability to do a DNA analysis of their saliva and you know exactly what bacteria are present, there are 47 different potential combinations depending upon what bacteria you have present and at what levels they're at. So why wouldn't you want to do the scientific, customized approach instead of the shotgun approach? So this is a better way to get rid of the bacteria. Find out what bacteria is there. Know that some of them are living inside the tissue because they migrate. They're tissue invasive, so you could have the best periodontal therapy in the world, and you might still have some of that bacteria living inside your gum tissue where it likes to go, and you got to get at it systemically.
And there's no W on that printout. There's no website address on that printout. I would think.
I think if you just do a Google search for oral DNA,
I can do that.
Oral DNA Labs.
Okay, Oral DNA Labs. Oral.
Yeah. Check that DNA. Out. It's Access Genetics is another name of the. They're a division of Access Genetics. Oral DNA Labs.
Oral DNA Labs. All right. Very nice.
Is it oraldnalabs.com?
Yes.
Okay. Well, there you go. So, and then what's really nice is
they're out of Minnesota. Oral DNA Lab at Eden Prairie, Minnesota.
Huh. All right. Oh, yeah.
Interesting.
Right. So, actually, now I'm looking at the bottom of the page. You can just go to oraldna.com. So, oraldna.com.
And that's kind of a risky name. The Europe changed from oral cancer to mouth cancer because if you Google anything with oral, you get 48 million porn sites.
Yeah.
And so they changed it to mouth cancer.
I wouldn't know that, Howard.
Yeah.
Okay, leave it. Just leave it there.
Yeah, that's funny in comedy. You can't joke about sex, religion, politics, or violence. And if you just stay away from sex, politics, religion, violence. And you know what's funny about that? Whenever I do stand up, they always say, dude, you're the cleanest act in town. You never said the F word. You never talking about religion, sex, violence, politics. And then you take the same act to a dental convention, and then you're like, man, that was too edgy. You're too racy. You're out of control. That was out of control. And it's like, wow. Do the comedy club in Los Angeles on Sunset Boulevard and they say, God, you're just the cleanest act we've had in a year, and then take the same thing to the ADA convention, like, I don't know, that was just humans are so affected
We
by
can't have
context.
that.
Okay, but so I want to take you back a little bit. So how was this turned into? How did the advertising dentist? I'm going to ask you a two-part question.
Sure.
So you started out as an advertising dentist. How did that turn into the oral systemic dentist? And then on the second part of that question, how has advertising changed in your? You got out of school in what, 1980, 81?
1981, yeah.
So you've been out. You're coming up on your 25-year anniversary.
I'm,
But tell us first, how did you get into the advertising dentist, and then how did that turn into the oral systemic? It was just your advertising, and you realized this was your true passion to prevent disease instead of.
Yeah, well, because I've never really been afraid of anything or anybody, or, you know, and I think a lot of dentists are very timid because they're afraid of either what the dentist next door is going to think, or that the organized dentistry might frown upon advertising. I always felt that advertising was another way of educating the patients as to what's available for them. You know, and an advertisement might be the only dental education somebody gets in any given year. Now, I started doing this many, many years ago, but advertising was really frowned upon. It probably still is in some areas. There's some very weird restrictions on advertising. If you're a member of the ADA, or if you're part of a state society, they might come down on you for having your sign a certain size, or it's just ridiculous. But
I've gotten almost sick. Well, I'll never forget, because this dental town's international, and I'll never forget some Hong Kong dentist did my 30-day dental MBA, and he started doing all the sign and marketing, and they suspended his license.
that's just
He never even had an idea or a thought that it could be legal. And the same things happen in like Romania and all these other places. And so yeah, it's crazy. But you know what's really cool? The ADA was so foreign to me when I got out of school. I mean, they were just so from a different planet. And now you have people like Maxine Feinberg, who's the president. She's actually cooler than you and me. The next one, Carol Summerhay. I mean, she's got to be one of the most progressive, coolest people. And so everything's really changing.
I'd really like to see something change, though. I'd like to see them get a little bit more bold and not be so worried about losing members, and start talking about this oral systemic connection like it really is going to save people's lives and put dentistry in a whole new light that it's never been in before. I'm rather impatient with them in regards to that. But
well, Maxine Feinberg, our president now, she's a periodontist, and you don't get much bolder than a chick from New Jersey. I mean, she is that woman will give you a piece of her mind. I mean, she's a no holds barred. Have you met with her?
I have not.
Man, God, this would be the time. And then the person following her, Carol Summerhay, same way. She's from LA. These women are so progressive. They're so like you and me. And she's a periodontist. I think the time is now that you should go from the American Idol to My American Idol Dentist. I mean, because you got Maxine, you got both of her ears. She'd take your phone call. She's that kind of woman.
Well, she'd be a great one to at least educate about AOSH, the American Academy for Oral Systemic Health, and ways that we could work together. Because I'm not opposed to the ADA. I just always felt that to have a voice in this arena that's not afraid of the powers that be, we just had to become our own organization to start walking the talk and talking the talk. And we do walk the talk. At our last meeting just about a week ago, we tested our members for saliva. We tested their blood for systemic inflammation. That's the C-reactive protein. We tested them for A1C. We did a biophotonic scan of their carotenoids, which is an antioxidant level. And we also tested the CIMT, which is an ultrasound of the carotid arteries. And one of the things that I've found over time through my Gums of Steel courses that I teach, and that I've been doing this for anybody that takes a course from me as well. We do all this testing, and I found that there's interesting correlations between the levels of bacteria that people have and the systemic inflammation. C-reactive protein is sort of like taking the systemic inflammation temperature of your body, because your body could be on fire quietly. You may not feel it, and yet when you have a high C-reactive protein level, that's saying that your liver is kicking out this protein that's saying something's on fire in this body. This body is burning down slowly, and it could lead to could lead to an event. And to also check it, we check the carotid arteries because we see, all right, your high level of P. gingivalis, high level of Agritobacter actinomycetum comitans, those two deadly periodontal bacteria originate in the mouth. We see systemic inflammation. We also see plaques laying down in the arteries, and sometimes even soft plaques that tell us this is a person that's got a high risk of having, well, I think a 40% risk of having an event in 2 years is pretty serious stuff. Wouldn't you say, Howard?
Oh my God, especially, I'm 53. My dad died at 60. My mom's dad and my dad's dad both died at 60. So when you're 53 and all the male Farrans were dead at 60, hell yeah, you're starting to figure this stuff out.
You want to start looking for early risk.
And to tell you how little when they, Rella Christian was telling me when they started really studying decay that by the time you get 5 millimeters down into a cavity, you don't even have Streptococcus mutans anymore. There's so many other different species. The San Diego Zoo has 4,200 species of animals on display, and your mouth to your anus, that 30-foot tube, has 12,000 species of bacteria, virus, and fungi. And they're discovering a new species in just the mouth every 3 months. And in that 30-foot tube, they're discovering a new species every week. So when some dentists consider and say, well, there's no oral systemic link to this and that, it's like, okay, they're finding these bacteria in Alzheimer's amyloid plaque. They're finding in all these places. And you just know everything. And you just absolutely know in the year 2015 that there's no connection here. I mean...
Yeah, these are, we're also checking for spirochetes, and these are a couple of them here, the treponemas, and they are, they're been found to be involved in dementia and other diseases, and you wouldn't even think that, even pregnancy complications and fetal death. I mean, this is the stuff that we're studying in the American Academy for Oral Systemic Health. This is the information that we share. These are the experts that we bring in at our meetings. So, it's changing.
So talk about your Gums of Steel live consulting and online programs.
Well, I've developed. I give my lectures online. It's all pre-recorded. I have modules. There's 6 webinar modules. I've got all the materials. I've got the Gums of Steel manual. Basically, if you can't come see me live, and learn all this, get lit up by this passion for getting gum disease under control, getting bloody prophies under control, turning bloody prophies into periodontal therapies, doubling your periodontal therapy. I've even tripled periodontal therapies in offices within 3 months. I mean, this is in Howard, it's easy because it's the most undiagnosed and untreated disease out there. It's nothing but blue sky as far as my message and my training. Most offices need it. So I do live lectures. I've got a 6-hour presentation, but you can get the whole presentation on the web. You can get my Gums of Steel manual, which is basically the step-by-step manual as to how you walk your team through it. But I've got all the materials. I've created materials where I've...
How much is the program?
Program is $9.95.
Can I offer you? I feel humbled to offer the advertising dentist any advertising information, but we have 202,000 members on Dentaltown. If you put like the first module on Dentaltown, we put it. There's 202,000 members in 206 countries. We put up 350 courses, and they've been viewed 550,000 times. So over 500,000 times. You should put your best advertising and put the first module on Dentaltown, then say if you want the remaining 5, you're going to need to go to, what is it, dentalproshop.com?
Yeah, dentalproshop.com.
And where'd that name come from? Were you a golf pro and then you switched to dental?
Originally when I was doing the advertising dentist, I was doing a lot of lectures or inviting lecturers in and taping them and creating a lot of products. I wanted it to be the one-stop shop for all the various at-home learning. So that's where it got the name from.
What year was that?
Oh my gosh. Well, I've been probably doing that for 10 years.
10 years?
Yeah.
What do you think about that? I mean, I'm a big fan of your 259 posts on Dentaltown, and I would like to get your message out to more dentists. More dentists need to listen to you. That's why it's an honor that you gave me an hour day. But I think putting up some of that on Dentaltown, and plus the online CE on the the iPhone, we just passed 35,000 downloads of the Dentaltown app on the Android and the iPhone, and it'd just be massive marketing for your
Howard,
message.
it's a done deal. I
Right
appreciate,
on.
first of all, I appreciate the opportunity to talk to you, and I appreciate your offer. And yeah, I definitely would love to get it out there. This is the message that is just about everybody can hear and can improve in their office.
Okay, but I only got 5 more minutes. $1,000 is a chunk of change.
Yes,
so,
it is.
So I want you to spend the last 5 minutes and explain what the Gums of Steel manual life consulting online program is and how they can find it at dentalproshop.com, dentalproshop.com. Okay, so you got about 7,000 dentists driving to work. Why should I give you $1,000? Tell me about your program.
Well, I think one of the main things is I know your hygiene department, that the patients going through your hygiene department, their mouths are on fire with gum disease. I can prove it to you. I can show it to you. I take their stats. Look, if I know if you're not doing the same amount of periodontal maintenance visits as you are prophies in your office, then by average you're not taking care of the gum disease in your practice. The average dental practice does about maybe 10 periodontal maintenance visits for every 100 prophies they do. Okay? It should be 100 perio maintenance visits for every 100 prophies they do, or more, or higher, as it is in my office and some of my best Gums of Steel offices. So my whole goal is to turn around your hygiene department so that you can start diagnosing and treating gum disease. How do I do it? I start off by lighting the staff on fire for the message of zero tolerance for gum disease. And one of my mantras is ZT for B3, which is zero tolerance for bleeding and bad bacteria. There's 3 B's. You don't want bleeding and you don't want bad bacteria in your mouth. So what Gums of Steel is going to do is get the team on board for diagnosing, to make it as simple as possible, easy way to diagnose and treat the gum disease that's rampant in your dental office. It's the most undiagnosed and untreated area in all of dentistry, and it's the place where you're most at risk for getting sued someday if you're supervising the neglect of all these people that have bloody gums for every prophy they get. It's that. So there's 6 modules. It can all be done on the web. I actually
give each module.
Pardon me?
How long is each module?
So approximately 60 minutes. You could do it over a lunch. You could have a lunch hour meeting. You could all watch the module together.
It's 6 one-hour modules.
6 one-hour modules.
And you're going to put the first one up on Dentaltown?
I will gladly put the first one up on
Dentaltown. Because I know my homies. I know dentists better than anyone. I've lectured 1,500 times in 50 countries. I know what every one of them's thinking, Chris. This is what they're thinking. They're thinking, I can't lead my team to this. I'm afraid of my hygienist. How could I get my hygienist and my receptionist? How do I get the dentist believes you? How does he sell this to the team?
If they want to watch this first module, we'll get it up on Dentaltown. And just watching that first module with your team, there isn't anybody that can watch that first module and know and come away saying, oh my gosh, we better do something.
And I'll tell you, all staff, they never believe the dentist in the building, but they'll believe any dentist 100 miles away from home with a good PowerPoint. And that's a human phenomenon, isn't it? An expert is anyone 100 miles away from home. So that's why you always take your staff with you to a seminar, because they'll believe the doctor lecturing or hygienist. But if you tell them the exact same thing in the same words, same pitch, whatever, they look at you like, oh, you're from Kansas.
Yeah. But I've had hygienists and dentists take my program. I get straight 10s on the program. I get hygienists telling me that's the best seminar I've ever been since I've been out of hygiene school. This is a whole new area of dentistry. It's exciting. If you're bored with your hygiene department, this is a way to light them on fire and really have them doing the life-saving care that they need to be doing.
And which team member which team members give you most pushback, or are you not getting much pushback? But
when I started this, I had a hygienist leave. I had a hygienist leave that thought we were too aggressive and didn't get the message. But thank God, Susan Ertel, who actually helped me put the Gums of Steel manual together, and still my hygienist to this day, who I think is one of the top producing hygienists in the country, and most passionate. She bought it. we connected on it, and we've been doing it ever since. So
Okay, we're out of time, but I got to go 2 overtime questions with you.
two
No,
overtime questions.
I do. We're past our hour. I'm supposed to end it, but tell them about why did you become ABC World News Tonight Person of the Week in 2010? Was that just for being? Was that your comedy act, being tall, dark, and handsome?
No,
Did
clearly,
they hear your singing? What was it?
It was not that.
It was
Howard,
not that.
I started the Halloween candy buyback. I didn't invent the Halloween candy buyback. It was an idea that I borrowed from someone that was talking on Dental Town, other forums. You know, was not an original idea, but the only original idea that I brought to it was I said, this has got to be the profession of dentistry's response to Halloween. Why not? We buy the excess candy back from the kids. We give them $1 a pound. Gives us a chance to get them in the office. We can teach them about xylitol, which is a sugar alternative that actually is healthy for teeth. We buy the candy back, and then we send the candy and toothbrushes. Our mission this year is 100,000 toothbrushes for the Halloween candy buyback. We send it to the troops, so it's good for the kids. They eat less candy. It's good for the troops. They get moral support from people back home. It's great for moms and dads because here's an alternative. The kids don't have to eat the whole shopping bag full of candy. And it's awesome for dental practices because I've never done anything that got more PR. Now, when ABC television started noticing that all their affiliates were doing these stories on, and I'm talking local affiliates, the local ABC affiliate was doing a story on Halloween candy buyback. They searched for the guy that got it started, and that's how they got to me, did a story on me. I showed them how many thousands of dentists have been involved, how many tons and tons of candy we've served, we've collected and sent to the troops along with the toothbrushes and such. And they decided to make me Person of the Week for doing that.
That is just amazing, buddy. My hat's off to you. You're a rock star in so many different ways.
Well, Howard, you're so kind. Thank you. I mean, I'm speaking with the ultimate rock star in dentistry. Did
you ever do a lecture or anything about explain the Halloween buyback protein program? Do you have it on video or anything?
I do, and I have it on webinars. I've got webinars, and I'm going to be doing.
You should put that up separately. We're right now it's September 29 and Halloween's October 31st. We should get that up before Halloween.
Let's do it.
Which, by the way, is my favorite. It's my favorite time of year. I mean, because I live in the desert, so now it's no longer 115 in the shade. It starts to get cool. Halloween's the first kickoff, and then the next month is Thanksgiving. Then the next month is Christmas, and then New Year's. I mean, this is just the rockin' hottest part of the year for me.
Awesome. Well, yeah, it's great. And dentistry, we're not trying to shut down Halloween. It's Americana, and it's fun.
Right.
Everything
in moderation. But I got to go one more overtime question because you said something so fast that a lot of people might not have got it. But why are you a fan of xylitol? I mean, you've been talking about P. gingivalis and gum disease and gums of steel and gums for the whole hour. And then at the last second, you talked about xylitol, which is basically Streptococcus mutans, totally different bacteria and a totally different disease, dental decay. Why are you a fan of xylitol?
Well, okay, xylitol is a sugar. It tastes like sugar. It's the sugar that everyone should be selling in their dental office. I sell pound bags of it. It's been the number one sales product in my dental office. What brand and where do you buy it? You can buy it from Xlear, Xlear.
You say
Xlear. That's the Spry company. They make xylitol products. They make mints, gum. Anyway, but so xylitol does not feed the bad bacteria in the mouth. It does not feed the strep mutans because the strep mutans eat it and they can't metabolize it, so it kills the strep mutant. Also, it clings to the operons on the outside of the membrane of the bacteria, deforming it so it can't stick to your tooth as well, and it can't stick together, clump together, creating plaque or a biofilm. So when you have a patient's mouth that has been doing 5 servings of xylitol a day, and these are small amounts, you don't want to eat a whole lot of xylitol. You only need like a gram or 2 per serving. The surfaces of their teeth are so slippery, they're so plaque-free, they're so healthy. The studies show that you can reduce the amount of strep mutans in your mouth by 95% with 6 months, and really it's pretty much darn near 100%. But I think they went safe and said 90%.
Do you have a www for that?
I would say XLEAR.
XLEAR.com.
Yep, it's the Clear company, or Google for Clear, Xlear, or for the Spry company.
Or the Sprite company.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
They've
see.
got,
I got the XLEAR. So you buy this from them, and you buy gum and mints. What do you buy from these guys?
we buy the gum and the mints and the pound bag of sugar. We also buy this little thing called the banana brush, which is good for every little child. Their first toothbrush should be a banana brush. They can run around the house with it. It's rubber. It's flexy. It doesn't have real bristles on it, but it's something they can gnaw on and chew on. And it comes with a strawberry banana flavored gel, which is xylitol, and the kids can be gnawing on that gel and getting the benefit of xylitol.
And that's
to
from
reduce.
that's
Once again, that's from the Clear, xlear.com.
and it looks like they're from American Fork, Utah. I've never heard of American Fork.
Yeah, they're right
you
out
think
there.
you think someone as fat as me would have heard of every fork and spoon and knife in America, but I must have missed the American Fork. We are triple out of time. Hey, I just want to end with sometimes it's hard to grow up and top your own dad, who's a legend, and you did. I mean, and Jack would be so proud. Jack was my hero, and you're my American Idol dentist. And thank you so much for spending an hour with me today.
I am Jack Kammer's kid, and if he's looking down and he's happy with what I'm doing, I'm feel blessed, and it was a miracle I even got to be his kid. So I'm eternally grateful. I'm overwhelmed with blessings. Life is great. I love being a dentist, and I love being a joyful person, bringing the joy and the passion to what dentistry needs today. Howard, it's been an honor being on your podcast. Thank you for asking me.
Thank you, and I want to tell you I love you too. So have a rocking hot day.
All right, mutual
Bye-bye.
love. Peace out.
Peace out.